Do you think having that good paying job, that construction work at the same time, do you think that may have also helped you in a way? Because I feel like because you have that to fall back on and you're making good money, you don't necessarily have to take something yet that you don't believe in on the music side of things. Do you think that helped you?
I think that could be true also. Luckily, when I got to Nashville, it was several years, but once I got there in the late '80s, and once I kind of got in the mid '90s, I started meeting people, some of the big writers and artists, and especially the writers, and they kind of took me under their wing, like guys like Jim Rushing and Larry Cordell. Larry Cordell's the guy
Yeah.
that wrote Highway 40 Blues and all these big hits. Jim Rushing wrote tons of big hits, and they both kind of took me under their wing, started writing with me, and but I think that I was still working a day gig. I remember when I had a deal at RCA, it was in 1999, and I was still driving nails, working construction as a carpenter,
Yeah.
and had a record deal on RCA because they, if it wasn't, it was the initial, like a developmental deal. And I remember walking up in there one day to RCA offices, and I had dirt all over me, and I was sweaty, and I had, just been working all day, and the woman's like, the secretary in there was looking at me like, security, get him out of here. That's what
Yeah.
that's what I could see it in her eyes.
Yeah.
So I'm like, no, 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 no. I'm Jamie. I've got to see. Oh, okay. Let me
Yeah.
see if he's in. Buzz him. So, but yeah, I think in some ways I probably went a little bit too far as doing other things, but besides music. But I also feel like that you're right. It did help me kind of have enough money to maybe be a little more picky
Yeah.
where I lived and maybe who I hung out with.
Yeah, I used to say to my dad, if I have a good living and I have something that I'm passionate about, I could be a little more mouthy in the thing I'm passionate about, right? Like be a little bit
Yeah,
more standing up for myself rather than just taking
yeah,
something, And so that
that's
for whatever reason, it reminded me of that. Man, I research every one of these interviews, and everyone is interesting to me and unique. One of the things I find interesting about you is you moved to Nashville at 26. So, I mean, that's
mhm.
kind of a late start. I mean, people won't believe that
Yeah,
nowadays, but back in the days, 26 was a late start. What was kind of
yeah.
the initial goal for you? Because, like, when you moved to the country music mecca, so to speak, it could be for writing, it could be to become an artist, or all of these different reasons. There's so many different branches of the business. What was the initial goal for you?
Well, it was to be an artist. I hadn't written that many songs when I was, I started writing a few songs when I was a late teenager, probably 17, 18, 19, maybe right in there, and wrote, you know, 20 songs, maybe 30 songs when I went to Nashville. That's about all I had. So I guess it was thinking that, I'm an artist thing. And next thing I knew, at that time, they were looking for people that could write, singer songwriters. It just was kind of a big deal, and I guess it still is.
Yeah.
Some of the bigger artists, like George Strait, Randy Travis, they didn't write much, and I didn't really even think about it too much. I'm still amazed at the people, and even in Texas, that don't really think about who wrote the song,
Mm-hmm.
especially the younger kids. They don't care who
I
wrote
think
it.
people just assume too, right? It's the way it's
Yeah.
it's presented to them. It's a Randy
Yep.
Travis song. It's a George Strait song. You're not
Mhm.
hearing it's a Dean Dillon song. You're not hearing that,
That's
right?
right.
It's or a Harlan
Yeah.
Howard song. It's whoever
Yeah.
married the
Well,
song, not who created it, right?
that's true.
Yeah.
That's a fact because I see people saying so and so. That's a good song he wrote, and I'm like, he didn't write that song, But I'm just hope I bite my lip because I
It's
know
tough,
I
man.
don't
It's
know. They
really
just
hard when you know, right? Yeah.
Yeah, they just don't know any better. But it's I think it's always been kind of I think artists. Uh, I may not have the respect of a million people in Texas, but I dang sure have the respect. I think of a lot of artists in Texas.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're like as a singer songwriter and always trying to use my own band in the studio, which I've done every time pretty much except a couple. This new record I got I didn't, but I usually do. But I think I've always tried to make my band part of it, and always tried to write and cut a lot of my own material. And once again, this time I recorded several of mine, but I actually recorded more outside material than I did what I wrote this time, because this was a special record. We'll get into that in a little bit, but
Yeah.
I think that I think writing songs was, I got to write with some like Hall of Fame writers, Roy Burke, Don Fremer, all these guys that were songwriter Hall of Fame
Yeah.
writers, and Paul Kraft, just a lot of these guys, and most of them are gone.
Yeah.
But they taught me a lot about it, and I was happy to get the chance.
Well, so you
So
come to Nashville with that goal in mind to become an artist. You did get a couple of developmental deals as well, as you mentioned. But
yeah,
as you also mentioned, country was kind of shifting at that time
yeah,
from traditional to more pop sounding and more
yeah,
edgy, more kind of hard hitting with the rock edge.
yeah,
One person you didn't mention who also came around that time was Keith Urban, who had a real big
yeah,
influence on that change in style. So
yeah.
my question for you is, as a traditional artist that went there to be a traditional artist, what kind of slap in the face is that? Like, how disheartening is that? You come to be an artist, you think you have the goods, and then the whole frickin' city just completely shifts
Yeah.
away from what you're doing.
I think it was. I think it's a slap in the face. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't take it. It's hard not to take it personal, but I know that it's not. Even in Texas, I mean, I know I'm going to make a lot of people not like this comment probably, but I'm sorry that Texas is supposed to be the cowboy capital and country capital, but when it gets right down to it, they seem to like the edgier stuff, alternative music, than they do the straight up country. I mean, they love George Strait and they love a couple more, and then that's about it. Everybody else is more, I mean, it's I've done fine, and I'm happy with what I've been successful at. But there have been, places that I should have played, should have been in. I think I'm the perfect guy to sing country music and write country music and be a Texas type guy. That's who I am.
Yeah.
Oklahoma, Texas, same deal anyway. But yeah, I mean, it's tough. It's tough down here. To be a traditional singer. It is. It's just a tough thing, and it's dang sure. I mean, it seemed like it's lightening up a little bit in Nashville. You got Jake Worthington, who's a good friend of mine, and this
I
Zach
love
Top.
Jake, man. Yeah.
Yeah, and Zach Top is incredible, and he deserves to have where he's at. Randall King's a friend of mine, and he's doing good. I mean, some country music is breaking out of Nashville for sure.
Cody Johnson, Kojo's one of those as well. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I played his his gala last night at Roping last year in Belton, Texas, and I talked to him for a good while, and I talked to Trent Willman, and Trent was going to produce this record on me. He sending me songs and finding stuff, and I've known Trent for years, and he's a believer. And we had a good thing, and then he got busy and ended up just cutting it here. I just ended up cutting in Texas, but I know those guys, and they deserve it, and they're very talented, and I'm glad that some country's busting through.
Yeah.
Good thing.
Good thing
for me.
Yeah, damn straight is. It's good for us country fans too, man. Let's chat a little bit about a period in your life I imagine had to be really, really difficult. And that, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe you were staff writing for Curb, and at the same time you're commuting to Texas to become an artist to the Houston area. Is that happening simultaneously?
Yes.
Wow.
It was. Well, what happened was I signed with Curb in 1999. Then I had I don't think I actually started writing there until 2000, but we started doing the contract. Contract took forever. I finally got it done. Yeah. And I was still working construction up until I finally got the monthly. They paid me once a month at Curb to write songs, and I couldn't be happier. And I got to lay the old hammer down, literally, and never have to drive another nail if I didn't want to. I got the opportunity to write songs. So I wrote a lot more songs, but I was traveling, and about a year after, maybe not even that long, at least 6 months to a year, trying to think. That's about right. I got a call from D Records down in Houston, Texas. But first they called a woman named Meredith Stewart, who signed me to Curb Publishing, and along with a record deal too. And anyway, so we were sitting around, and she said, I had a company out of Houston call and inquire if I had any good singer songwriters, country, that they wanted to get in, they want to invest in and sign to their label in Texas. And Kyle Lenning, who produced Randy Travis, was interested in cutting some sides on me. He didn't get enough money. He didn't think he wanted to mess with it from the label on my behalf. They just didn't want to put that much into it, and it wasn't a whole lot of money. But so he backed out of it, and I'm thinking, well, heck. So this D Records guy, and his name was Wes Daly, and he got in touch with me. They flew up and had a meeting with him, and next thing I know, he signed me to D Records, and D Records was a company that had George Strait, George Jones, and other people I can't recall right now that had some hits. And I'm like, his grandfather was Pappy Daly.
Yeah.
The White Lightning song, Tell Old Pappy had him a still. Well, he produced George Jones records, or co-produced, and Pappy did a lot of them. So D Records owned the whole catalog full of George Jones hits. Walk Through This World with Me, and all those kind of songs. So Window Up Above, which I recut because they owned it. They wanted me to cut it, and I did. But anyway,
that's a tough decision, right?
Yeah, that was a terrible song I had to do anyway. But just kidding. But it was a great song.